These are notes. You could tell they're kind of funny. This is when you have your paper out, a notebook out, and at night, you're writing in the dark, but you know what it says. So we have a lot of that type of stuff because we believe in note taking. As one person says, ideas are like slippery fish. So that means that you should have writing material or note-taking material or a cassette right by you when you sleep, so you can write down, ideas. Because sometimes when you get up in the morning, they say, them boys will still be there. They don't be there. They come and go. I mean, that's the custom that they go. And I mention that because we're at a point now in our organization, and so I want to outline the order of organization, the order of mobilization, the structure, basically what we'll be doing in the near future. And you can almost know when you're on the right road by many signs and signals that you're going to get from the environment. The first thing I want to say is something we always say: always have fun. Always have fun. Fun and lightheartedness and this type of work is something that a lot of people don't have. And if they had it in the beginning, after they run into challenges and obstacles and what have you, and if they're in so-called the entertainment field and they on the way up, everybody's with them, and when they face a challenge, they can't find nobody. After a couple of trips with that turns you kind of bitter. It makes people bitter, and you could tell in their talks and in their behavior that they've lost a lot of spontaneity, a lot of they're safeguarding their self and their property, and when they go out in the first years, they want to be seen by everybody, and talk and laugh and talk. And in later years, you see them wearing sunglasses, and the paparazzi is following them around, you know what I mean? And they want to be anonymous. First, they want to be well known, and after that comes later on, they want to be anonymous. I'd rather do without it. I'd rather, And so that means the system has taken the fun out of their life. The actual, very few people that are in that lamplight have the courage to say, well, I'm going to back away. I'm going to take 4 or 5 years off and call it a day. Why? Because they're in the competition. If people stop mentioning my name, if people, they get hooked up in the competition. And some of it they hate and some of it they still love, or they get addicted to it. Their value and their esteem, especially their self-esteem, is hooked up into that type of thing, That means how they weigh, how they value, how they look at themselves is hooked up in the response from how the people respond to them and how they respond to the people. Okay. So, one of the things is to have fun at what you're doing. That's something that individual have to do themselves. Nobody else can put it on you. In fact, nobody else will even think about it. They're too busy trying to get some of your money, some of this or some of that. The government does that also. The government tries to ruin your life and run you crazy and make you paranoid. They've done it to most of the people. They do it to most of the people. If we hear about some of our friends right now, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah, Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Is it still crackly? Is it still cracking a little bit? Oh, can that pick up?
Yeah, let me try this. Directly. I'll give it a few seconds because I gotta wait for it to come over the live stream. Okay. Can you say something real quick? Just say Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursalin. Muhammadin an-Nabi al-Ummi. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Still kind of crackly?
Yeah, but we...
Okay, well, can that thing pick up?
Well, yeah, I think it's good enough to hear. It's just, it's going to be a little bit echoey on the live stream, at least today.
Okay, well, you mean, what if you leave it like that?
It can pick it up, it just don't sound as crisp. But we don't have that constant buzzing. There's like this buzzing going on this receiver.
Okay, I would rather for it to whether people would have to turn up their volume.
Okay. Yeah, then this is fine. This is fine.
And with this one, what about that?
This audio has always come out well. It can pick up, the sound in the room always well. This one, it's always, I found it better to do this, but today, for whatever reason, there's a
okay, if it can pick it up pretty well, and we got that one as a backup.
Yeah.
So is it picking up pretty well now?
Keep the speaker on though.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Yeah, that's good. We'll just use the mic like this today. Yeah.
Keep it like down here.
Mm-hmm. That'll work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like right now, it's not cracking a lot.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's just something's up with this.
All right. We'll go back to the subject is self-esteem. Remember, self-esteem is how you weigh and how you measure yourself. And this struggle moving forward is more important how you weigh and measure yourself, not how other people weigh and measure. It's like the most important thing is, how do we feel about what's going on right now? How do we visualize it? Now, other people got their visions. That's their business. It's not that we don't care what they think, but in a way, we don't. Why? Because it's how we see what we're doing, how we weigh and measure, right, what we're doing. That's what esteem means in the old days, in Greek, how to weigh and to measure things. How you weigh and measure yourself. Self-esteem. How do you see yourself? Okay, what about as a movement? That has to do with also attitude. Technically attitude means the way that the plane is leaning in accord with the horizon. It also means attitude. If you make a stand like this, that's an attitude. That means you've taken a position. That's basically what attitude has like. What is your position in the world in which we live? And we have a position. We have an attitude. Our attitude is based on knowing that you had to have a PMA, positive mental attitude about things. We've always known, and it's grown, that focus. That you have to know how to focus on the things that are important to you. Focus, just like the camera. You can have that camera, and you have to have it in focus. You can see it if it's out of focus. You can tell what it is. Human beings, this, that, but to get a good, clear picture, you have to have it in focus. Our focus in stage 1 of this period is GHQ, General Headquarters. That's right next door, 4481 C Street. What we're going to do today is a combination of bragging, loving, and light clowning. Light clowning. You have to be able to clown yourself. That means not take yourself too serious. I have a friend been in prison for over 20 years right now because he didn't have the ability. He didn't play that. He was a little too stiff. He couldn't laugh at himself, and he definitely didn't want nobody else laughing at him. You know, like, I just want to tell you, we have almost perfected the art of not paying no attention to pawns and crackpot people. We've proved it on the surface of what we're doing. It's clear that we ain't letting nobody come around and they set the stage for what we're doing. That's not happening. And instead of letting them clown us, we'll clown them. We'll have fun with them. And they'll use them, like one of the set of the clowns right now. They call me on the phone all the time. And they do the things they do. All that is a higher stage of trying to set us up here. Because number one, when boss man get tired of people, and I don't know, they don't watch the news or they don't pay no attention. I don't care if you're in Afghanistan. I don't care if you're a snitch in Iran. And we've seen all of those people get what they like, what's the little cold pink lady? If you like them, the people will be aware of who you are and they'll put you with them. They said, those are your friends? Hang with them, right? That's a way of them clowning. But the person that's being clowned may be offended. He may be trying to cut your throat and stab you in the back. But when you clown him or them or that idea, they're offended. Like the people called me on the phone and they're offended. Imam Musa, you did this, that, and other. So I said, every now and then I'll talk to her. I said, you know, I was just sitting down here reading and it said that we came out there and paid $48,000 something, $50,000. And this was on our goals things. Well, you remember that? That we wanted to, and we went out there and did it. And you throw money for the Ummah. I said, yeah, that like what y'all got, the charge y'all got to the $20-something thousand for the junk in the yard. And I said, we went out and paid that, you know, with our money. Y'all ain't never had no money. Oakland, they never had no money. They never had no access. They never sent nothing here. They never. And if we went out there, we paid, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars of their bills, right? So one thing they ain't got no right to do is to say that we stole something from them. And Boss Man closed the account down and gave it to them. Closed our name off of it, gave it to them. They're trying to make us mad. Yeah, what? Go ahead. Right? Why? Because when you're mad and when you're upset and when you're angry, you go off. You know what I mean? And you can go off only one time they need. And we see that. And they'll rot you wherever they are, or you'll go blind and you'll lose your muscles will lose their elasticity, and you can see it on some pictures from years ago. They'll put you in a pen. You're supposed to have so much outside rec a week or something, sunshine. I saw some of those pens out there in Florida. And I saw one of our brothers in one of them. That thick wire, it's not wire, you might as well call it metal frame. You're in a cell, right? They got another little yard, just a few feet long, a few feet wide. And they got you pinned in. You got 8 feet up there, you got wire, man. You can't call it wire because it's metal with little holes in it. But legally, you're getting sunshine, right? They got to give you so much sunshine. When you take them to court, they said they got plenty of sunshine. Look at that. They're so deadly. They got the shower, they got the rec yard, all in a cell. You can hold your hands out and go like that, and that's it. You know, they're mean. They're not okay. Some of the time when I used to go out to the north, and I've been into the toughest place. I've been into McNeil Island. That's like Alcatraz. McNeil Island's up in Washington. It's just like Alcatraz, except it was a bigger island, you know. And you could watch whales go by and stuff like that. It's Puget Sound. Leavenworth, they used to call that the end of the world because in the old days, Leavenworth was one of the rough prisons. Oldest rotten prison, built in 1908, stuff like that. I mean, it was just out of the West, the Old West. 2 days out of the Old West. Because Kansas in those days was, anyway. So it's not that we're soft, but I was out there, I used to go out there to visit Norton, and I almost cried. I mean, it's just like unnecessary. You walk on one tier, and they got an old TV out there on the bars, and it's got some of that tin foil on the thing. And you ask the brother, how long you been in here? Yeah, I've been here 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. Then you go to some of the other cell houses out there. It's almost in the dark. And then you look at the food they feed them and all of that. Hey man, I said, DC got it. If you want to see oppression, go to the DC neighborhood, the DC prison system. Good God Almighty. Anyway, they close it down. To go to the feds is like going to a holiday resort out there. Okay. So here we have a combination of bragging and loving and light clowning. See, that characteristic of lightheartedness is one of the greatest gifts when it comes to being a top athlete, being a top struggler in movement and all that. Because like a top coach will tell you, after he done trained you to death and run you around the yard all day, finally he'll tell you, boys, this game, just go out there and have fun. Just have fun. What do you do when you have that? I'm not working now, I'm having fun. I'm playing, I'm using all the skills. But I'm out here to have fun. Release that tension. You see a couple of black girls here in the last month. The one playing tennis. Just said, forget it, you know. Now some of the old players might say these modern people are kind of, whatever they're doing to you, that's wrong. Forget it. That's what they would say. They don't say that. But they came up, they are iron shelled, I mean, because they came up in a different era. Then this lady that does perfect tens all the time, flipping in bios, you know, that's a white people's sport. No Negroes ever played. Now I looked at the team, I think almost everybody on there except one or two was black, right? I said, good God Almighty, they worse than tennis. You know, I mean, Arthur Ashe was and the other lady used to play tennis years ago, I think her name. Yeah, she was big in the 50s and 60s. And Althea Gibson. Yeah. They didn't even hardly make money then, you know, I mean. But it was different then. Those people were used to certain things. And you hear some of the people on the news and, why is she so upset? I said, the poor lady been sexually assaulted by the guy up there and they even put attention on. And then 50,000 just recovering from that's enough to call it a day. You could say to recover from that, white folks stay in treatment for the rest of their life, right? And they want her to come out and do perfect sense. I don't feel like it. Why did she do that? What about the other team? What she said was, you didn't mention another team. What do you think that's doing to us? If all you talk about is me, and there's a whole team of people. I may be 10, but they're 9.5, 6, and 7. What are you doing making it, putting all the pressure on her? We want you to bring back 5 medals, this, that, and another. And they got smart. They said, oh, that's all right, forget it. Of course, the white lady says she's smart, she's taking care of herself, But a lot of the dumb people, the sports writers and all of that, they don't understand. Well, why isn't she? A lot of people do that same thing with movement. If he's a chief of such and such and such, he shouldn't be having sex with those women because he should know that J. Edgar Hoover was going to do this, that, and another. And since he's the chief, he's not any good. We're talking about the king. And Malcolm is stupid. All the stuff coming his way and he passing it up. It's like the man and the donkey and the kid, whatever you do, if the man get on the donkey and ride it, right, they're gonna say, that man is riding that poor little donkey and the little kid is walking. So if he pick up the kid and put him on the donkey with him, so those two big people riding on the poor little donkey. If they get up get off and all up walk. Look at those crazy people. They have a donkey there and they don't even use it, right? Then if the people pick up the donkey and start carrying it, right, that's even crazier. I mean, so this is important. It's simple, but these simple keys, hey man, they carry you a long way. And they're one with a lot of work, because I don't think the human being come with all these characteristics. I think they're acquired and they're learned. And some of them learn a lot of them, some learn most of them, and some learn, might as well call it all of them, or whatever they don't learn, they develop the ability to reject or to repel the thing that they can't see coming at them. Because the Quran says you have enemies that you know and enemies you don't know, right? So a certain characteristic will repel things that you automatically know about, and the things that you don't know. And this is what trusting Allah is about, okay? Free Imam Musa movement. Liberate Imam Musa movement. That's part of the stage that we're going into. Is going to cover several things. Number one, we're in a new stage as far as Islamic management and what have you. We're in a new stage now. Not we're in a new stage now. We've been in a new stage and we've been talking about it, but we ease into things like you develop your sleeping habits, eating habits, exercise patterns, and when you get it kind of where you want, you said, now we're in that stage, but you've been in that stage. Okay. So to liberate Imam Musa is just having fun. But writing up strategic counteroffensive is not just having fun. It's fun. Because we're making it fun. Psychoneurosis and all that stuff we mix in there, that's to have fun. And you got to remember, in this struggle, boss man is limited in his knowledge of things. And then he have other people of their own language and culture to explain things to him. What does that nigga do? And then they may have stuff watching you all the time. So you may take stuff and after the 15th or 20th year, there's something the 30th year, and slap it right down there so he can read it. You go run and you see what's happening when you get back. People are acting according to it. And sometimes instantaneously. That means that it may be something reading as you write. And that's for decades. So whatever you do, you have to study what's going on. You don't want to just be, well, let me see, now I know what's going on. No. So you write certain things down and you see the response. Then you write something down almost like that and you see the response. You write something down way away from that and you see the response. Pretty soon you've had a multiplicity, a wide variety, right, of responses, right? To something you're not going to use that, but you might be 90% accurate, but it's got to make sense. So you may be 90 or 95% accurate on what you're writing. But he don't know that. He think that's, your idea there is 100%. Your idea is 100%. And he can't tell that 5% or maybe even 3 or 4%, he's not skillful enough to pick it up. Nor is his Negroes. They can't pick it up either. Because they're accustomed to what they've been trained to pick up. And so it gives you a lot of flavor. So write up strategic counterdefense. Expose historical policy against Islamic movement in North America. Expose the historical policy. We've already done that. But now we're in a different thing. But we're watching our environment. Example. If Mukhtar and Khadijah call me on the phone and do this and do that, it could go more than one way. The one way we have to be very secure about is, number one, is our attitude, and we have to make it plain what our attitude is. Why? Because when boss man get ready to get rid of Afghanis, they don't know. When he get ready to get rid of Iranian stooges, they don't know. Neither does the Negro. So you have to make sure that boss man don't get rid of somebody. And this is the third go-round for this. We've mentioned this stuff before. This is actually the third go-round. So those people are useless. Now, boss man don't like to pay for useless things, like you're of no more use. All you can do is holler and scream or do stupid stuff. Evidently, it's not having any effect on nobody, right? Therefore, there's different people, plus boss man may have a reason to get rid of it. Once, also the people around, if you try to take their job, if they were moving against somebody, and you say, y'all have failed on that, you give me that job. They give it to him. And he's a colossal failure. They fail so bad, I gotta explain them. They failed so bad, they failed on everything. And unless it was boss man's goal, which sometimes you think that this is goal like a fool like this, they failed on everything. They was not successful on nothing. Although they did things that would have ran other people crazy. If you got a full bank account with $100,000 in it, right? And others is 4 or 5 bank accounts, it's 10,000, yeah, 500, and they take it all. And they put you on course. When we go to the court, we was gonna go up at $100 million, but I figured we go at $200 million. Soon, that's in the wings. You gotta remember, they don't have no right to do that, right? Our property that they sold, Mukhtar signed, I showed y'all the deed, show y'all the deed, they just signed it, they just boop, and it's gone. To us, it's not gone. But here's what they could try to do. They could try to say, Mukhtar kept calling and harassing Imam Musa so much that now somebody, Mukhtar and Khadijah is found floating somewhere, right? They could say, they could get the record and try to get you to give you the case. You in court, how many times you call? I don't know, 40,000 times. Well, we were looking for a motive, and you're the only one that had a motive to do it. Hell, the government is the only one that had a motive to do it. The government fry people and burn people regularly, right? So I hope they do take me in court and they say, we got a motive about you. And remember, they tried to say that. They tried to say, Imam Musa said this, that, and the other, and Imam Musa threatened, said that they had the green light, 187. We didn't say that. Well, that's been happening in court already, and it ain't gonna fly. It didn't fly. But now suppose you got boss man on the hook, boss man owe you $2 million or something like that. Think boss man, them niggas think boss man. With the record boss man had, one guy today, he don't pay no debts to nobody. Right? I don't care if you're a Filipino, you fought in the war for them and you saved them and they say, I shall return. They have MacArthur coming to the Philippines and the guerrillas was there fighting the Japanese all along. I shall return. Right? And they give a victory to old MacArthur. They don't say they wouldn't even pay the Filipinos. They wouldn't even give them all those Philippine colonies in 1946. When I went to school, that's what it said in the history books, the Philippine colonies, because we had old books, so it said Philippine colonies. So, boss man would easily say, didn't Mukhtar and Khadija do this to you and that to do? Yes, they did. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, he had a reason to do it, right? Yeah, that's what they could say. They could say that. That's why we're saying what we're saying today. We don't pay no attention to that. Because, see, they don't follow boss man. They're in love with boss man. And you know every snitch, before boss man take them out, they all says, boss man, it's me. Okay. Why, it's Nick Rochus. It is you. And he finished cutting his throat, throwing him off the bridge, whatever he's going to do, right? He does that. He does that. I don't care, the Vietnamese burned their people for how many years? Since the 50s. When he left in 75, he left them there. They had to become the boat people. They had to swim or get on one of them old rickety boats. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of them died. That's the way boss man do you. The Iraqis from the early part, they was with boss man. Boss man run off and left them. He let 5 or 10 of them come over here, right? The Afghanis now are trying to go to Guam. They said, we'll send you over to Guam. Right, Guam? What do I have Afghani? But it's safer than it is with the Taliban running around there. The Taliban will boss man will double cross everybody. He'll have the Taliban fight the Iranians, and then he'll double cross. That's boss man. Okay, so what do you think about us? What do you think about all of those nicknames? Remember now, this strategic management under conditions of repression and also carrying this ball way 5 and 10 and 20 times longer than anybody expected, right? Redundancy, we tell them what we're doing, well, redundancy. You're not going to redundancize us, we're going to redundancize you. Till you go over and over and over this stuff so much that you forget the cycle. You make them forget. They underestimate Negroes. Always, they can't help it. Because Negroes never had the time. That's why we stated clearly where we've been headed all along. And they just, They don't understand what we're talking about. When we talk about longevity, right? When we talk about a protracted struggle, they think we're talking about from the Chinese model. Protracted struggle, 20 years, something like that. Right? Not us. Ours can go, it can be transgenerational. I don't know if anybody else would pick it up and learn and like it or continue it. But that's what we're using right now. And we can't miss it. Number one, everybody, just like I was talking about the thing about the bartender, how boss man gonna know what you do? I'm gonna tell him. And the Negroes here have refused. I asked people 15 and 20 years ago, get a snitching union. Right? If everybody here is Negroes, just flash a few signs and, say, the homeboy got that much time on him, how about we hook up? Now that Babatunde is gone, and Babatunde was an old sausage-headed, flat-footed type police. He was not modern. He was like, if his own son was in jail, as he was, he wouldn't go see him. He broke the damn law. That's him. That's the way he was. I mean, we was all friendly and everything, but I'm just telling you, you got to be able to read people. Bam. He may still be around. We may award him out. You can wear people down to where they can say, I'm good enough to get on out of here and go to Mississippi somewhere. Because I'm not going to go there. And he have a beeper on. If I get in the state of Mississippi and start beeping, and I get close within 200 miles, beeps louder. If I get so much, they say go the other way, take a vacation. We know that. Those things are possible. Not only are they possible, they're likely. Here's why. We have taken Boss Man to another level that he wasn't prepared to go to. He took Jack Johnson out, little no problem. Made a law for him, did this, that, and another, and that's that. All right? With Muhammad Ali changed his style, and they fell in love. So the white man was, every time he couldn't, Muhammad Ali, right? He earned it. He earned it. But Boss Man didn't have to change no tactics. Yeah, well, that. You can confuse Boss Man, and the only reason you can't confuse him because there's no Negro tactics or nothing like that. God give you Negro tactics and you don't use them. And you can tell when you're surrounded by people that are trained by Boss Man, and they kind of like him. If they don't like him, they respect him enough that they put their whole life in eating and everything in it, and in a degree, Okay, eventually people should gain some self-esteem. If they do, that's good. With me, I'm already gonna do this stuff. And whether it looks like it or not, when I say you gotta have fun, I'm having fun. Necrodosis is fun. Necrodosis. These pronunciations get stuck in your mouth sometimes. So the Islamic movement in North America, the Free Imam Musa movement, or the Liberation movement of D.C. and Oakland and all of that, is tied up in what we had. That's what we're doing now. But you have to be aware of diversions. This is just simple management, but if you focus on what you're doing, don't let nobody divert you from where you're going. That's all. I'll speak a little bit on that later. Entrapment of anti-Islamic, anti-human forces in North America. There's a law, at least Black's Dictionary said, this is back in the old days, that the human will is so basically weak that it's against the law for the government to tempt the human will by entrapment. It's still on the law, but they don't modify that. Then, like a fool, I came back to the country to try to beat on that because the dummy reading all them law books, and the law says, shoot, I flew back in here, jumped on that law, and they just, all you witness as a witness, they go down. And so, why, Doc, you are a dope dealer. Good God, man. Why, if you go into court, they took my witness list. And say anything like that, why, you won't be able to sell dope. Of course, you mind your own business, sell dope. Wow. Give you some license, They don't believe niggas have license to sell dope. They don't have a picture and a photo and all that, but they are just as good as the license. As long as you got it, you don't have to worry about nothing. Okay, not even traffic stop. Expose the historical policy against the Islamic movement in North America. Lay out Zionist forces, infiltration, influence over the counter-Islamic forces in the USA and in the world. Okay. You could see the Zionist influence everywhere. Anybody been watching the news the last few days, like the hearings they had, and like they had the police giving testimony? Okay. You can look at that in many ways. First of all, it's clear that the Zionists have taken over the departments in America. It's clear. I could tell when the FBI came here and the way they was talking to me, that they didn't have, and I said, why don't you go on out to Oakland and tell them, you the FBI. I told them that exact thing. Man, you the FBI. You go out there and tell us the Oakland Police Department. They didn't say nothing. They came here and they visited your place, right? They came here. First they wanted to go somewhere to let somebody know that we're coming here. As if the FBI don't know that I live down the street and they could have found me. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They knew where to find me before, right? So they know. Okay, but the point is that you can read between the lines. And one of the lines is that the FBI and all the other organizations are under the control of the Zionists. They just are. All the tactics that they're using more of come from the Zionists, right? Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. When Brother Abdul Haq and I was down at the Willard Hotel, and the guy called me, I was in California, he said, well, we are on loan from somebody else, we're a news organization, and we're not big shots. I forget the term they use. So by the time I got back here, we had a meeting with him down at the Willard Hotel. Abdul Haq was with me. And so, we was down there, and when I walked in, they had the whole floor of the Willard Hotel, that whole doggone floor. And they had all that equipment. And I looked at that independent. See, y'all don't look like no independent crew to me. No, well, we're on loan to such that. In other words, the Zionist crew. So they passed me a piece of paper and said, would you sign this? This could freeze us. I said, sure. And I signed it. Because I'm learning more. I'm not going to give them anything, at least I don't think I am. And I'm not going to let them entrap me. I'm not going to do all that thing. So anyway, while we was there, now, about that time, a white man from Richmond, working for the Sacramento Bee, came here for an interview. He was actually from Virginia. He was an American. So, you know, we know how to deal with it. Before long, we just laughing and man, let me tell you. He said, my relatives down there in Virginia, the white folks. He said, they remember every battle of the Civil War and they talk about it as though it was last month. And so he's from Richmond down there, but he's telling about his people. And then he's from Sacramento now, so we can talk a lot of California stuff and da-da-da-da. Down to Willard Hotel, I was running that line on those 2 recorders. They was older guys. They wasn't giving up no laughs, no smiles, no nothing. So Brother Abdul Haq and I talked about it. He said, I bet you they was Israelis. Number one, they didn't care. They was there to do their job. Number 2, they don't care nothing about no nigger, and niggas ain't fun. No way. Right? And that's what he said. He said, of course I agreed with him. I bet those guys are Israelis. On other occasions, it's been certain things that happened. All the stuff that happened to us, the FBI coming by here, right? Somebody to force the Bank of America to do something that's automatically illegal, right? To be able to confiscate property. Who does that? Israelis. Oh, your deed is from Ottoman times, so they throw you out. They're using on us Israeli tactics like they use on Palestinians. And you got to know the difference. Oh, this is false mentality. And then you can clown a fool. You can, the Negro, the old-time Negro, I watched the old-time Negroes back in the day. They could smooth the white man. I remember Brother Abdul Malik and I was arrested in Oakland. This because we didn't have an ID. We was getting ready to go run. And my friend brought the jail down. This wasn't a big deal. On the way, we ride out there, and I say, yeah, I look at the guy's name, Michael. Well, my boy, Michael, so what do you think of the IRA? He didn't even know what I was talking about at first. And then he realized that I know, and so Abdul Malik told me, he said, you can do anything you want with them white folks, can't you? It's kind of natural, you know. In other words, by the time he drove us to the jail, we had him eaten out of our hand, you know. And that's the way it is with white folks. Because they're just regular racist stuff. You know, they're not that. But Israelis are not normal racists. They are Zionists. And Zionist will kill everybody, including other Jews. He'll burn down the synagogue in Iraq to run to run the people from the Jews from Iraq to Israel, right? There's already tons of recorded that this has happened in Yemen and everywhere. So we've been taken over for at least a decade by the Israelis. But that's a design. All of our programs are designed. Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Boy, they get mad. We're taking over this. Just like, did you ever watch the movie Panther? You remember when the Oakland police the FBI didn't hit it, why don't you watch these guys? And in one scene, they come in taking everything down, we got this covered now. In other words, we're taking over to Oakland, okay? Now, you can almost tell the year when the Zionist takes over our case, 100%. The FBI don't have nothing to do. That's why the FBI said, hey, technically he's tipping me off. Don't go out there. Oh, we're just here to tell you about this, that, and other. The stuff they told you, we already got to know about that. But, hey, man, and then the FBI is saying to me things, why don't you just stay here and do good deeds? Police tell them, which is great, right? They're using the term that we use. What should we tell them? The Negroes tell them to stay here and do good deeds. They don't want me to go to Oakland. For whatever reason, it don't make me no difference. Because when we get ready to go, that's what we're doing. Back that time is here. Okay, let's speed up. I'm going to try to speed up. I might have to leave out a few things. Put out paper. Out of your mind thinking. On paper. Examine your own thinking. Okay, this is. So, examine your own thinking on paper and let them read it like this. I don't care how many times you catch the white man. It's just like going fishing. You catch fish almost every time you go. Yeah. And you can tell what's on the line, a big one or a little one, usually, Show direct connection, influence of Zionist connection in USA and globally. Drew out the Zionist arrogant forces against the Negro, like Zionists against the Palestinians. In other words, we have already drawn out the Zionist forces based on his behavior with Palestinians. No feeling, no nothing, not even racist feelings. They're not even human. Worse than the old-time cracker here, right? They're goyim. I mean, in the Zionist mode, goyim. Worthless, useless. To be alter system, that means they will use the system against you no matter what the repercussions. Because it ain't going to come back on them, it's coming back on the white man here. It's coming back on the county of Alameda, the city of Oakland, the Bank of America. None of them can ever say the Zionists. Do not despair, dear believers. Everybody's getting tired of the Zionists at the same time. Everybody is getting tired of Zionists at the same time. Okay, just a quick pattern. We said in 2015 that what's the old man? Trump is out to destroy the Republican Party. Anybody remember that? Then we said, this boy is out to destroy or weaken America. In face of the world, right? So it is like a cow. You keep a cow alive and to milk it. They may need the United States to milk, right? For their needs. And the Zionists got all the spyware, this, that, I don't know, Pegasus, whatever, all that stuff. They got something on everybody, worse than J. Edgar Hoover. Can you imagine J. Edgar Hoover type Zionists? And they're the same type of people. J. Edgar Hoover was a sissified cross-dresser and a punk. And that made him help niggas, hate niggas more. Because he was who he was. And his friend, another big sissy, is running the FBI. And now you got the Zionist Mossad. Supersede FBI, CIA, and all of that. Does everybody follow what I'm saying? Yeah. Therefore, this is our greatest opportunity right now. Number one, they got too many things going. If you're watching the TV the other day, that's why I waited till the day yesterday. I said, I'm going to let this jail and see what happens. And you see the Latin guy from the Dominican Republic, he had a nice broken English accent. Lovely, everything. Look, I'm telling you, it's perfect. You look at the four witnesses. Study them. Just study them. Number one, the guy who's an immigrant. I just wanted to serve America. I've been in Iraq, the whole show. And my family tells me you got to stay in rest. I told them, no, I have to go back. Good God Almighty. A servant, right? And they made fun of him, right? And they beat him now, because he might be playing 10 or 15% game to get extra money, or I have PTS. But it ain't all. When you're hurt that bad, you got to remember, when you hurt that bad, it was not only physical, but psychological rejection. After all I've done for y'all, you rejected me. That hurts. It hurts them, he's first generation. It hurts. It hurts his family. You out there, you're gonna go back and you smell like firecrackers, all that stuff they had down there. Tear gas, everything. And his family telling him, no, you gotta stay home, take a rest. No, I gotta go back for America. Good God, man. Okay. Gotta follow the line a little bit. Then you got Nick Groshus. Nick Groshus is telling a story that we all understand. I've never been called a nigger. As long as I wore this uniform, until the people that mean on white folks. Even believe it or not, the Congress that changed stories so fast, you talk about getting dumped. These are the police that protected them from getting beaten. They dumped them out. The Congress, they looking for the closest window to throw them out of, right? Tell the truth. Watch the rest of the news. They done rejected them. They're talking about it was a setup. The Republicans is saying it ain't true. They're lying about this. And them boys, look here, I want you to get a picture of America that's watching this. And I want you to look at I want you to look at the show. There's an immigrant there, clearly an immigrant. What does the immigrants think? You know, the immigrants got us beat by a large number now. Latinos, they got way out. Look at them looking at this guy. He went to war. He did this. And he still got his education. He got this. And he protected them. And he's got PTSD. And he can't hardly talk now. They can understand his accent. The Negro, well, he's going to appeal to all of us. And you were silly enough to go up there and protect the Congress, the lightest people in the United States. Now, you got to remember, that's what they look. Can you imagine how the Congress looks? The Republicans especially. And then the other two white boys say, yeah, one of them, you know, he was a racist till that thing. I'm saying he was a racist because he got the Holy Ghost. When the white folks started beating him and, you know, calling him a traitor and everything, and he's on the narcotics thing, right? He was going to bust some niggas in D.C. What else he do with it? You know, he couldn't go, right? And he got the call, and they all deferred. Him and his partner went over there. Right? I'm trying to tell you, you listen to all of his testimony. That, if you was not anti-American, anti-system, you would be when they finish, right? You would be pro-Latino, pro-Negro, pro-human. Because the white boys said the same thing. And you gotta imagine how many hours this was going around. Now, all of us have had some physical challenges. If you box a three-minute round, how tired are you? You're just about to die, if you can do it. Golden Gloves is three-minute rounds, right? And you gotta be in, a lot of people say, man, three-minute rounds, just let them get out there. Oh yeah, you that bad? Go out there for 1 minute. Let's see what you do in 1 minute, right? Niggas' tongue be hanging out, and feet dragging the ground, right? In 1 minute, right? Three-minute rounds. How many hours was those guys out there? Because when my daughter went to GW over there, and they said, Dad, let's go. First of all, we're sitting there, you know, and we saw the white folks when we was coming around the other way. Then we saw the ones coming from that way, and we saw all of them was packing. I said, look right there, they waistband. They all had, you know what I mean? All of them was, and they was just saying, these are some scraggly looking white folks. I said, no, they all packing, and my family saw it all. And we went over to GW, turned around, went way around over to Virginia, then came back. We wasn't going down nowhere near there. And the other black lady had a baby in the back of her car. They blew her away. Captain Police. Why nobody, these are white folks, the whole world see, wait a minute, Black Lives Matter, they use tear gas and all those are white folks, right? And they didn't do nothing. They beat them to death and they didn't do nothing. If you're so bad, go down there and snatch the police out this way here till you get back. Coffee. Yes, I'll do tonight. For you. If you go grab any police, black and white don't make no difference. Don't use the police. Or even roll your eyes sometime. we'll be doing janazah for you. Them police was fighting for hours. They was, you know how exhausted you get in them uniforms and all that stuff? Hey man, them guys was tired. And that happened, and they showing it over and over and over and over again. And every time you see it over and over again, it's just like the first time. In fact, you see more in it. That's what America is looking like to the world. That's what we was waiting for. We didn't bring out all this stuff, launch our counteroffensive, and we were saying we're just waiting for something. That's what we was waiting for. This is it. So therefore, we cannot lose. We're just mixing. We're now explaining what everybody been looking at. Because they don't know. You have to, let me go over it again. We're explaining what happened to America. Donald Trump's job was to destroy America. First, the Congress didn't destroy the whole thing. And he's done it. He's caused division in America that you can't heal in the next so many decades. You can't do nothing about it. Because whatever happened in the next election, technically it don't make no difference. Why? Because the well is already poisoned. Right? It's sad, but you got to remember, we're living in a historical dispensation where no matter what we do, this thing was headed downhill, right? Now we have to enter into this and try to bring clarity to the decline. We have, since we're the only ones talking about it, we can add clarity to the decline. If we do this right, and I mean on a big level, we can relieve a lot of the pressure and we can keep the killing down, especially between black and white, and we can form unity and harmony between Latins and so-called Negroes because they just naturally don't get along. Not like the old times, brown berets and the young lords. The Negro is mad they took that job, not because the Negro would work. Because I asked the black people did electricity. They used to have 12 trucks. They only had one truck left. They used to be the biggest company in D.C., electric black. So I asked them, well, what happened? He said that people wouldn't work. They wouldn't come to work. They'd come on Wednesday in the afternoon and want to get paid for the whole 5 days, right? And the Latinos just working all the time. They can't wait to work, right? Automatically. Did nobody steal their jobs? They gave them away. Is that most experience that most people have? Ain't nobody stole out the Negro jobs. They gave them away. I mean, they just outworked the Negro. They said, great, you don't come to work. Great, we like you. All right. But now we as a conscious movement and organization, when we read all of this, we have a responsibility not to let people just clash and kill each other for the ignorant system. We have to help ameliorate. That's why we're not selling that property. We're not selling. We're not going to rent it out. We're not going to rent out that. We're going to use it for our organizational headquarters. In time, we'll throw everything out of here and redo everything. so it'll be presentable to all rich people and so-called that we're going to invite here. Yeah. So we're going to be the center. Not because we necessarily want to be, but because that's who we are. Unless somebody else knows something different, there's nobody to put all of these pieces together and is willing to talk about it. Yes, you have a few whistleblowers here and there, but they haven't had the experience to know every aspect, from the African, the Asian, the Islamic, and the racial experience. Okay, so we'll pick up. Use only documented incidents to prove your case. In other words, all this rambling that we do, we're not going to do that. We're going to have categorized, da-da-da-da-da, and that's it. And we got tons of it. Be bold. You gotta be bold. Okay, the Negro recovery. Well, the Negroes in USA committing willful conscious suicide. We say it's willful and it's semi-conscious suicide. Unless they've never read a history book. They're doing this with the cameras on and everything. And if they don't pick up on it, that means they're doing it on purpose. They don't know it's on purpose. But when the Congress gets up and they show one thing and then they lie about it and Fox News say one thing and Senators say, it's willful suicide. It's just right in front of everybody, and even an idiot, right, can pick up some clarity. Even an idiot can pick up some clarity. Okay, let's speed up a little bit. The USA is committing willful conscious suicide. Zionist tactics against Muslim people and people of color is the same as the Nazi tactics against European Jews. The same blatant, inhuman, you know what I mean, like the Zionist is a step above in his racism, above Mississippi crackers. Yeah, they gotta be. They gotta be.
There's no fear of retribution. They just willfully do whatever they want. There's no consequence.
No consequence. The same attitude as the Germans had in dealing with the Jews. The laws on our side. Right. And these people feel that we are dictating to the law of the United States. Remember, the one dictating is not the one, they're not subject to it. The Congress is subject to their phony laws, right? The police are subject to their phony laws. But the Zionists are not subject to them. They don't even, ain't nobody telling on them yet. And who else, what would be the purpose of the Zionists weakening the United States? Number one, they could never, this is not the time of Eisenhower, when he sent the Jews, when he broke the back of the 56 war with the U.S., with the Suez Canal and the Jews. That was in Eisenhower's time. But by 73, it changed a little, and now it's all together different. The Zionists, can you imagine? They can do anything they want in Palestine. Can you imagine? I mean, they bomb it, they leave, and it's okay. Nobody else in the world can do that. Nobody else, even the U.S., cannot do it to the extent that the Israelis do. And all other people have been brought down. South Africa was brought down, and of course you know that the day that they turned the government over to the Negroes, no more atomic bomb. South Africa had an atomic bomb.
Yeah, they say Israel got it.
Of course. That's who gave it to them. They working hand in hand. As long as we working together, they sent that boy back to the boss man. I mean, they boss man. Because remember, the apartheid, the South Africans are inferior races compared to Zionists. They're inferior races. There's no avenue for any kindness to slip in. Even with the Mississippi racists, they gonna hang their little brother. The mama could come that used to take care of the little baby herself. Oh, but the so and so, Lord have mercy. There's a 5% chance that she can warm the heart of this cracker. You know, she just take care of the dictator. That's not possible with Zionists. You ain't getting nowhere. You don't have no message. They don't like those people and they don't like each other. They might tell a lie. Okay, let's see. They're non-human in their approach. They're totally irrational, non-human. There's nothing human in their approach. You're not even a number. It's worse than artificial intelligence and the software they use. They sell them to criminals and dictators, right? The stuff, the spyware, all of that. And, well, they had already spied on them, so they know what all of them. That's what's going to get them thrown out. They got stuff on everybody. So, yeah.
How does Israel become a part of the African Union?
The who?
Israel is now a part of the African Union.
The African Union?
Yeah.
Well, after all, they helped Uganda, of course they were in there. And you gotta count the amount of Israelis in Africa. And you also gotta count the amount of Muslims from Lebanon and other places. The ones that go there are bad representatives of Islam. In South Africa, the people are good, but look what's happening to them. The Muslims that helped against the anti-apartheid, the Muslims that was having all the programs that we was going to. You saw they was all anti-apartheid. All the lawyers, you could see those Muslims' name that fought for all the brothers. But right after the struggle, I'd go to 98 and all that. I'd go and I'd see people with patches on their head. They had broken all the Muslims out or holding the Muslim. Every time I was there, it was 2 or 3. They kidnapped people, hold them in the house. The relatives bring out them how many zillion rands. And then the police, which are Negroid, they don't do nothing because it was their cousin that robbed them. And I was telling the Muslims, I said, y'all I said, you got to get more Negroes. Well, you could hear what he was talking about to the Islamic fold. What would they do? They would get brothers from Malawi and everything. They're black, but guess what? The brothers from Malawi and all that are not liked by the South African Negroes. And I'm trying to tell them, I know you trust the guys. They're nice, and they are nice. They're nice and humble, and they ain't gonna steal nothing. They are nice. They're really Muslims. But I used to watch it was, when I would go and stay, when I would leave all the servants a nice little piece of money. And it wouldn't be but like $50. So once I was going to give them, I didn't go to change. So and the guy that I'm staying with was there, Big Shot. So I went, I said, the house I was staying in, there was 3 servants. One took care of the children, one did the cooking, and one did the cleaning, the house cleaning, stuff like that. They had 3 maids. So I know we're staying there, so I go to get them, here's this $50. I'm sorry, I don't have any more. I spent all the money around. You have to hold it. Give it to me, I'll take care of it. He didn't want me to give him $50 each. And I would stay there a month that time. It would the family home. Yeah. I'm trying to tell you, see, and every time I would go, I would see the Muslims. They would have a group of Negroes like here that had the Muslims over there surrounded, the Indian Muslims. And the niggas would talk to me like I was one of them. Yeah, we're going to do you know. And I'm saying, no, I don't do that. Same like I told them in LA, no, I don't do that. The Negroes. The same Negroes that's in the Shia community right now pretending like they revolutionaries 25, 30, 40 years ago down in LA, and everywhere we went, especially at first, they was talking to me like we all got a scheme. You a nigga, I know you here. They just assumed that I was there to run game on the Iranians. I'm saying, I didn't say nothing for years then, but I never worked with them. I never worked with them. Never did. Okay, let me get back to this. We'll try to close out. USA committing willful conscious suicide. Zionist tactics against Muslim peoples. Color also the same as Nazi tactics against European Jews. Okay, 4481, that's right there. That'll be General Headquarters. 4607, that's right there. And we'll use that for whatever we want to use it for. And we're going to raise more funds too with Allah's help. When you think about raising funds, Allah will help you, witness us with a Negro Trapadosis. No sale of 5045 A Street. It could have been sold, but we're not going to sell it. We're going to hold the line right where we are now. We're just holding the line, and we'll make it. It doesn't make no difference. We'll just make it, inshallah. Double layered, triple layered trap. Yes. A time for counteroffensive. Palestinians in America, Zionist tactics deployed, want me to say that. Confiscating money, property, many assets, property transfer, okay. Record of harassment by Laurel and Hardy, whoever they are. Did y'all ever see Laurel and Hardy? No, well, that's the way they are. One skinny guy and the other big guy. Okay. Show me as fed up Oh yeah, motive for hit. That's, if they were to be able to present me as one that's tired of the phone calls and everything that they make to me, and I'm fed up and I just lost it, and I got rid of them. That's the way they try to, that ain't gonna work. That's why I'm saying it's all now. We ain't fed up with nobody. We encourage them to be crackpots. Yeah. Fed up, motive for hit. Okay, Abdul Malik and Company, set up receiver. Okay, we'll talk about Abdul Malik and them a little later. We'll talk about Hashim Alauddin later. Although Abdul Malik and his crew got more sense than Mukhtar. I mean, as far as the boss man is concerned. Yeah. Yeah, when they saw it wasn't working, they just backed up. And I tried to ease them on back. Oh, it'll be all right. Then they said, well, if I can do this, that, I said, man, forget it. You're trying to make a deal and you ain't got nothing to deal with, you know. Make our contribution to global Islamic movement. We'll go into that later, but that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right now. The dummies thought they were going to write us off and we become a sideline to history. They were stupid. They were literally stupid. Now they're sitting there with a straw in their ear looking just as stupid as they can. It's unbelievable. Okay, they forget time, place, and circumstance, and they forget the history. See, we've been paying attention to everything that's been going on all of these decades. We've been paying specific attention. I'm sorry. Boss man, I'm talking about the American boss man, technically he needs our help. But if you don't want it, you keep it. You can probably hear in our talks almost red tails attitude. We'll help you. We want to help you. You don't need no help, well, you keep the Zionists. He'll teach you a lesson or two. But we look forward to the middle days of this struggle where the Americans are not going to have any choice because they get to a certain level they can't take anymore. Just remember, they're Americans and they're white and they're arrogant too. And at a point, you scared all these other people, namby-pamby, you know. But there's white folks in intelligence services are not going to be pushed around. You push them so far, the Zionists don't have no, he don't have no guardrails. He just pushes. All we have to do is do what we have to do. See, all of this is going to come together. This is not a few poor and rejected going to run down, burn down the city hall and put up the Islamic flag. And that's probably not the way it's going to happen. This is a move where humanity is involved because humanity is the one that's the climate, it affects humanity, right? The soil conservation, the erosion, everything affects humanity. It's not, so our time will have the same characteristics as during other times, except this is global. Like, you don't have nowhere else to go when it says traveling the land and buying and migrating and all that. That's cut off right now. Okay. We drew them all in deep. Yes, we did. We have drawn, so you have to, like it said, you have to know yourself, and I believe at a high level you have to know what you're doing. We have dragged the system in deep. It was unexpected. They thought we'd probably give up in the middle 80s, and quit. After they showed us what they did, they figured, because you gotta remember, it was back in the 80s. Nobody got ahead of all of that stuff they was doing back then. You gotta remember, we got the white man in new territory. He's up in new rounds. Let me say that again. We're in championship rounds. And he was so bad and brutal that he never had to go that far. That's why we always refer to him as George Foreman. He knocked everybody out in the first round, the third round. I don't think he went past 5 rounds in his fights till he got with Ali. So all Ali had to do was take him up past. Remember how he's hitting after a while? In the 6th round, he just Ali didn't do nothing. He waited till the 8th round. He waited. He was finished in 5. He'd have been past it. He fought good. He just didn't go that far. Okay. I carry on the spiritual mission. Qasim Soleimani, that's right. That's what we do. We're carrying on the mission. Okay. During this next stage, we're going to get into all of that type of stuff that seemed like it had nothing to do with us. But it does. Because beginning in recent periods, we're stepping back into the whole arena. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. And Musa saying, welcome, bienvenido. We observe America from a position of strength. We observe America from a position of strength, not weakness. Okay. American forces have lost control of USA designers, forces, media, Most of our setbacks that we had recently in the last decade are considered as designed setbacks. We designed our own setbacks. We would sit right here with Baba Clune and say, oh, I bet they're going to take our stuff out there. Pretty soon they take it. We do it for months. Yep. We love Baba Clune and everybody. We love all of our people. But the world can't sit around and just wait for them to wake up. They have to wake. They have to force themselves up. They have to be able to read history and say, hey man, looks like the nigga is right. We just don't go on about our business anyway. Everybody can do what they want to do. But if Negroes wanted to contribute something to world history, this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity. It's not fine. I'll close with this. Technically, I'm 76 years old, and I've seen a lot. But nobody ever gave nobody nothing. It's all, everything happened was Allah who was preserving a personality so they get their head straight and they want to go out in the cause of Allah. It's too clear to me. Now, there's nothing like a team of Negroes. I'll close, I was watching some Negroes playing ball down in Texas in 65, 66. And the coach didn't want them to play Negro ball, basketball. They wanted the Negroes, no showing off. I don't know if y'all ever saw that movie. He wanted the niggas to do set shots. None of that showing off and dunking and all of that Negro stuff. The Negroes, they might win 2-3 games. It reminds me of this movie, or the history. A lot of people didn't know the history. Like Pele and them down in they had a way of playing football. They call it the chi or something. They just do it. And the coach has what that little place down there, and they couldn't do it. Even the white Brazilians started liking it. Because if you let a nigga go, he gonna beat everybody. He was still. There's a little bit in that Negro character. He was still. But we gotta hurry up. I've been hearing that the Negro basketball players losing to somebody, this other Negro, what is it, right? They got the best team individually that they ever sent over there, but something was not happening. We have that old leftovers from slavery and all of that, but these modern generations don't have that. They don't have that. And they don't have the community that we used to have. They don't have a community where everybody helped each other, whooped everybody, whooped the kids. And then nowadays, you get whooped somebody, they'll send you to the penitentiary. I guess even if you whip your own kids, they'll send you to the penitentiary. Or if you put a mark on them, something, I don't know. But anyway, we have to get busy before we lose that inoculation, that historical whatever that we had. Okay, we should give it a shot. They ain't got nothing. And I'll really close, they don't have nothing. I'm only speaking from my own experience, which is I've had everything they have to offer at the time when it was, when you're young and I had all of that. And it ain't nothing compared to this. It ain't even nothing. And it didn't feel like nothing then. I mean, it wasn't like, if this type of living is a 9 or a 10, that type of living was a 1 or 2, maximum. Maximum 2. It was never like this. So can nobody put any of that physical polish on this and try to run me back into that? It's 50 or 60 years old and it ain't worth a dime. Not compared to this. Not compared to this. Where you can play ball on this level. Yeah. And something's going on. Something is going on. I feel like we're just whooping the white man with his socks off. You don't know what to do. And believe it or not, in the final analysis, we're going to have to help him not go crazy. He may not even want it. But I mean, if you're going to rescue everybody over here, you might as well say you get on the boat too, right? It's not the Titanic lifeboats where they set them all out half empty. We'll fill up ours. who said, well, we got the Negroes and the Mexicans, there's still room, another room for some white folks. Right? Just because you're an oppressor and stuff like that. Right? Boss man ain't gonna beat this one. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Any questions or comments at all?
Yeah, brother, he had a comment. He said, Assalamu alaikum, let's talk about law. I have what you need to set you free, wallahi. And he put his phone number there. It's Amir Abdul Hakim Ali is his name. I can write it down for you afterwards.
Okay, yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, there was some other.
Vote for me and I'll set you free. Brother, don't set me free. That's great.
The brothers up in Canada wanted to know if you'd be available September the 28th for about 7 minutes. They got the Arbain Hosseini alayhi salam conference webinar.
Sure, Arbain, yes.
Okay, I'll let them know. And
Yeah.
there's this other brother, his name's Salim Abdul Mateen. He says, hello, how are you doing? How is your family? And how is the weather at your end? Hope you guys are safe from the virus. I don't know who Salim Abdul Mateen is. So,
What's his name?
Salim Abdul Mateen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just, and I don't know if this is the same brother. Was the brother that was trying to get married, Salih Jabbar? No, well, this is another brother. He says he's trying to get in touch, I guess, with you, Imam, about having a nikah next month on the 21st. Yeah, he's in the DC area.
Yeah, well, we worked it out. We just have to keep calling them.
Okay. I'll text him or message him your phone number.
Yeah.
I don't know how he missed that. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, anybody else have does anything we was talking about make sense? Sometimes we get, I want to learn how to control my focus a little bit where I don't ramble as much. But are there any questions about anything that was said? Anything that was said? Does it make any sense? Does this, what we was talking about, and in recent, let's say months or years, does our analysis make sense for the time we're living in?
I think when it comes to talking about the Zionists, you kind of said it, I think people have an awareness, that of their involvement, but they're also afraid to say it, that they're the problem, because that's how much, influence they have on society.
Okay, well, you got to remember us and the Zionists. He wasn't at, it wasn't Triangle of Terror, it was something in UC Berkeley. The other time was Rabbi Kain down in LA. You see in the papers what we do to you notice, remember, what's the one that I called out to meet me in Philadelphia if you saw that?
Daniel
Pipes and all that crew, right?
Right.
Okay, you notice and then old Sean Hannity called him a dummy and stupid. Okay, do you notice that the one person, for the Zionists, I'm like, I mentioned it the other day, I'm like that old guy that he couldn't whoop nobody but Muhammad Ali. Not Leon Spinks. What was it? He made a movie one time. Ken Norton. That old crazy, hey, he couldn't whoop nobody but Ali, right? Shavers them, I think, whooped him, and they could, but he had Ali's number. He just had Ali's number. That's the way we are with the Zionists. I don't lose no time asleep. They was telling me in my house, you going up there with those, they met smart white people with them Zionists. Oh, shoot, you know. So that's our job. That's why they're our job. That we don't, you know, like everybody is afraid of the dragon and afraid, we don't care. There's no way they could trap us into anything. We can walk out, kick the door down, urinate on the floor. We don't care about them and their rules and regulations. We can't lose, therefore. That's the way I feel about them. And therefore, if that's the way you feel about them, then that's your mission. So they're our mission. The Zionists are our mission. And if you notice, they can't do nothing to us. They print stuff in their thing to try to talk about us, and they're doing us a favor. Some of the stuff they printed, you ever read it? It's exactly like our flyer said. And they thought if other people read that, they're gonna be upset. Well, just imagine if it's 100 people on their website stuff, 20 or 25 of them are Muslims reading them. So everybody knows who's who. They know about, you know, we're the best kept secret. How people gonna play that? I never heard of Masjid in Southeast Washington. Never heard of it. Could they say that in DC? They couldn't say it. Maybe one or two. But everybody that's been here a while knows it's verboten to go there. Masjid al-Islam, verboten. Anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay, it's an honor and a privilege, and we're gonna, like we say, that's the general headquarters over there. We'll get new carpet for it, and we'll get, that'll be the office management type stuff. We made that big printer down there, they got all that thing prints both sides, staples. Well, it's old now, but it still will do. All we gotta do is get enough juice. I think it takes 240, and we'll have a little plug right by there. So all the stuff that deals with printing and what have you, we're gonna be writing. All these notes will go, they already go, to writings. So we'll be preparing our writings, and we'll have a whole new set of As-Sabiqun. So technically we're walking and moving right into what is our mission. We've been taking it easy for this period of time. Yeah, we've been taking it easy. And it's been nice. But now it's back to work. But we haven't been taking it easy, not doing that. We've been tricking the white man and the Zionists all along. Just having fun. You know. Okay. Thank you very much. As-salamu alaykum.